Canada's position on the developments in the Middle East remains clear. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the principal source of instability and terror throughout the Middle East. It has one of the world's worst human rights records and must never be allowed to obtain or develop nuclear weapons.
The elbows up crowd is on life support after witnessing such a statement from our Prime Minister Mark Carney. What a change of posturing and position compared to the last few weeks. But the reality is, Canada has wedged itself between a rock and a hard place. And on this episode of the Right Call Report, we'll dive exactly into why that is and much, much more about what's truly happening in Iran. My name is Elliot Daniel. Like, share, subscribe. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs before the next couple weeks. Now, every interaction helps. And by the way, let me know in the comments below, what do you really think is happening in Iran? Are you for, against it? And most importantly, should Canada get involved or stay out of it? So the first thing that we should look at is actually the official statement that the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, has released. Now, this has had a lot of people raising questions or even downright mad. So now I'm not going to read every single word of the statement because, to be honest, it's boring government bureaucracy. But I want to bring your attention to the little paragraph here, the last few lines. Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent its regime from further threatening international peace and security. Wow. Who would have thought that Mark Carney would ever side with the United States of America? And this is exactly why people are getting a little bit, panties up in a bunch, as we say. Now, nowhere was this better explained and rationalized than with my good friend Jason James from The Brave New Normal. So Jason says, today's a difficult day for Canada and the Carney Liberals. On one hand, they have to express support for US strikes on Iran because despite all of the elbows up grandstanding, Canada is still extremely dependent on the Americans. But on the other hand, they're now strategically ally of China. Iran is a strategic ally also, which means Iran and Canada are currently more aligned than Canada and the United States. Can you freaking believe that? But I mean, it's kind of true. And the language coming out of China towards the US in response to the strikes is highly aggressive. So now Canada finds itself in a difficult position. Our liberal government has foolishly aligned itself with an axis that is being smashed to pieces by the American machine. Furthermore, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is active in Canada, which makes us a strategic location for attacks against the US should those cells go kinetic. What does that mean for Canada? I don't know, but I doubt the US is going to overlook it. This is why responsible governments matter. I never thought I would have seen the day where Canada was further away from its ally, the US, than, say, China. So Canada kind of put itself in a corner with all of this posturing against the United States over the last year, but also it's cozying up to a dictatorial regime in China. China is ally with Iran. Iran is clearly an enemy combatant here, an adversary to the United States. And Canada, we're just here in between, kind of like, what are we going to do about it? See, Jason is definitely right. We don't have a choice but to support the US in this. Not only are they a NATO ally, and also we share NORAD command together, but on top of that, in spite of all the narrative that I believe is being pushed to please the boomers and to keep the liberals in power, because being scared of Orange Man Trump is literally the only reason why the liberals are in power right now. But I think that rhetoric is only being kept up to stay in power in Canada. But in truth, deep down inside, Carney and the liberals know we can't truly push America away. It is suicide in all the sense of the word here. Now, however, Canada was not the only country who came out in support of what the United States was doing. We got Keir Starmer in the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister over there, with this statement.
The regime in Iran is utterly abhorrent. They have murdered thousands of their own people, brutally crushed dissent, and sought to destabilize the region. Even in the United Kingdom, the Iranian regime poses a direct threat to dissidents and to the Jewish community. Over the last year alone, they have backed more than 20 potentially lethal attacks on UK soil. So it is clear they must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon.
Well, you got it here, folks. I mean, again, another person who is anti-Trump, but when push comes to shove, sides with the United States. Now, as we're sitting here watching this, perhaps on a Sunday, maybe on a Monday, who knows, the big question is, what does the rest of Europe actually think of what's happening right now? Well, lo and behold, don't fear, European bureaucratic inefficiency is strong at play here. So we have the president of the EU Commission, who just put out this statement right now, effectively saying that she will be calling an emergency meeting on Monday to discuss events that happened Friday. I wish I could make this up. This is why we call them Europe War, right? The truth is, North Americans, we tend to be a little bit better off. Technically, Canada, not so much anymore. It used to be, but we've been declining. But definitely the Americans are richer. And I think this is exactly why. And this embodies, by the way, just the inefficiency, the bureaucracy of Europe. They're not a serious place anymore. They want to be part of, the world order. They want to have their seat at a table. They want to dictate policy around the world, but they're not even bothered to convene on the weekend. And we had, by the way, I saw on X some amazing politicians. I believe they're coming out of Poland, which is a based country. And he went to the European Parliament and to the EU Commission over the weekend just to check, is there any activity there? And of course, lo and behold, there's none. People are having their breaks. So Europeans are sipping their glass of wine or their little espresso, while the big boys are actually leading the world. Now, however, let's come back a little bit closer to home, because obviously the statement of Mark Carney coming in support of the United States has definitely thrown plenty of liberals into a frenzy. And you know what? The tears, the salt from the tears was being harvested all over the weekend. And I'm not going to show you all of them because it would be way too much and we could just make an episode out of that. But I do want to bring your attention to a couple of them. Let's begin with our favorite, Rachel Gilmore, the perpetually unbiased but incredibly biased journalist who's not really a journalist. So she says, Canada supports the United States acting to prevent Iran from obtaining blah, blah, blah. She quotes basically what Carney says. And then she says, well, for those of us wondering if he'd walk the walk of the Davos speech, this is a pretty big answer. Nope. Well, look at that. Can it be? Can a liberal wake up and realize that they've been bamboozled? I mean, let's be honest. All of us on the right and even in the center, we've known now for, well, pretty much a decade that the liberals will say anything just to appear something. It is lip service. There's never any actions. They never match. It's never congruent. And they flip-flop on just about any issues. I mean, we've seen it with the carbon tax, right? One day, it's good for the environment. It's good for Canada. It's actually making you money. And the next, it's, well, you know what? We're going to axe it, which was, by the way, a conservative policy. But I digress. So, Rachel, welcome to the crew. Welcome to the team. Maybe you'll finally realize that, that party doesn't freaking care about what they say. They have no convictions. Or I should say the only convictions they have is their own personal one. They don't really stand for anything. Which, side note, I would respect the Liberal Party considerably more if they actually had convictions. So what do I mean by that? Values that are willing to defend and to uphold come hell or high water. Because I can respect that. I might not agree, and I definitely don't agree with pretty much any of their policies. However, if they came out, defended it, stood up for it, and for them, they had a backbone, and they could also articulate as to why it's good according to them, I would actually respect them. I would still probably try to poke holes into their theories, but I would not be making fun of them the way I'm making fun of them right now. But to me, this just goes to show these people, I mean, heck, no wonder Matt Generu and Michael Ma, and who was the first one again? Anyways, all of those MPs have decided to cross the floor from the Conservatives to the Liberal. They've shown themselves to be perfect flip-floppers. They'll do just fine with the Liberal Party. All right, and the next little liberal comment I wanted to bring up here, because this one's personal favorite, because, well, you'll see why. Canada, mind your business. Do not get involved. This is not our war. This is not our war. Well, girl, I agree with you, actually. Apply that same reasoning to Ukraine now, won't you? See, that was my comment. And of course, they always have an excuse. They push the goalpost further and further and further. So her excuse was that Ukraine was not attacked. So what? Still not our war, right? Anyways, and I'll tell you what I really think about the Iranian war and the US and everything in just a second. However, I do believe ultimately that countries like Canada should stay out of it. However, you'll see what I mean by that in a second. Let's take a second here just to appreciate how liberals are literally on the wrong side of everything all the time, okay? So this is since 2021 alone, all right? We've been told that lockdowns are good, mandate experimental product is good. Losing job for not taking it is good. Show some QR code to live is good. Protest government overreach is bad. Invoke the Emergencies Act, thus violating the Canadian Constitution, is good, obviously. Duh. Proroguing Parliament, good, right? Vote in a globalist central banker to run the country. Well, that's good. Push through censorship bills and new government powers, good. Stop children from mutilating themselves, bad. Stop mass migration, bad. Fight Hamas, bad. Fight Iranian regime, bad. The list goes on, and it's the same across most liberal Western countries. They're never on the right side of things. Now, on the CBC, there was a discussion happening live on the air whereby the question of should Canada get involved in this conflict came up. Now, we got to listen to this because it's hilarious.
Is there ever a conversation about whether, if this carries on, if Canada could be asked to contribute in some fashion?
Well, it would be very difficult, I think, at the moment for Canada to contribute beyond what it's doing, mostly because of the personnel shortage, but also, too, we had some figures that came out before when the defense investment strategy was the defense industrial strategy, excuse me, was released that showed only 42% of the Air Force at the moment is serviceable or ready to fly and fight, I guess is the best way to put it. And the Air Force would, as we were.
What a sad state of affairs our military is in right now. I mean, we have no jets. Half of our jets are not serviceable, and they're freaking like, what, 40, 50 years old? They're at the end of their service life. I think they've pushed past the end of their service life. We have no bullets. We have no ammunition, actually. There was a report that came out that showed that if Canada was to enter a full-scale war, because right now, obviously, we're scared shitless that, America is going to invade us, apparently. So lots of liberals were saying, well, we can always fight them. We'll fight the good fight. We'll fight them. Well, here's something people don't talk about. Canada's stockpile of, say, artillery shells right now is big enough to sustain about 7 days of a full-scale war. 7 days of conflict. That's it. That's what we have in our arsenal right now. 7 days. Oof. We're going to do lots of damage with that. We have no personnel. Nobody wants to serve in the military anymore, which is a shame, but it just goes to show also how much people don't feel like they belong to their country. They don't feel like they're willing to defend their country. I mean, aside from the boomer liberals that say they'd pick up a freaking hockey stick and go fight, sure thing, pal. I mean, you're the one leading the disarmament of Canada through the liberal gun buyback, but I digress. I mean, we're at a point right now where we have to import foreigners, or at least the government is trying to import foreigners to serve in our forces, in our freaking military. I won't even begin to talk about how that's a national security risk. I mean, if I was a foreign adversary and I wanted to infiltrate and put some assets into, the highest strata of our institutions, that's what I would do. I would send some of our spies to go serve in the Canadian forces. It's a horrible idea. I mean, look, there's one country that does it very good, and it's France with their French Foreign Legion, but it's a complete different story. First of all, it's commended by officers that are French. Number two, these people, it's sad to say, but they tend to be, used as in the worst conflicts around the world, right? Whenever they don't want actual French blood to be spilt. And regardless, it's something that goes back hundreds of years. I don't think Canada would be competent enough to put the oversight and the ability to, run such a thing. So this brings us to the core of the issue. The supreme leader of Iran has been taken out. Now, the United States and Israel have confirmed through apparently photographic evidence that the supreme leader was killed in an airstrike. Now, keep in mind, this is the figurehead that has controlled an entire dictatorial regime for decades, for over 47 years. But before we get into the details of it, I think it's important to celebrate the moment with a little video.
Assalamu alaikum, bitches. This is your new Supreme Leader speaking. Well, I warned Ali this would happen, and he just kept talking trash like we couldn't Maduro his old ass. Anyway, enjoy your new freedom, people. We're going to have bikini parties, all-you-can-eat buffets, dancing to country music, and singing karaoke all night long.
It's going to be the best, guys. It's going to be the best. But seriously, this cannot be overstated how important and pivotal of a moment that is. Let me begin by saying that today, the world is a slightly better place because these people are not in it anymore. And it was not just the supreme leader that was taken out. Him, his entire family, his kids and whatnot, all out. The chief of defense staff, out. The leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, out. Plenty of other high-ranking government officials, out. I mean, the regime is crumbling. And this is a good thing. So let's remind the viewers here that for several decades, the Iranian people have been under the oppression of this theocratic, dictatorial, absolutely murderous regime. Plenty of times they have tried to rise up and to overthrow the government, only to be repressed through blood and bullets. Just a few weeks ago, tens of thousands, some reports claim over 30,000 civilian protesters that were unarmed were slaughtered at the request of the regime by regime forces, indiscriminately shooting at them point blank in the streets. I mean, I've seen videos, and I won't show it here, of trucks with military personnel in the back with rifles and machine guns driving down the streets and just opening fire on any and everyone, women, children, you name it. So, knowing this, I'm glad that the regime is crumbling. Now, this brings me to another point, however. Will this turn into a long, protracted, never-ending war, or will this just be another swift regime change a la Venezuela? Now, personally, I think the latter will apply. I don't think Trump is the typical Bush-Cheney Republican here. I don't think he wants a 6-year, 7-year, a decade-long war like Iraq or Afghanistan. That would be horrible. However, if this was just about a quick regime change and they enable the Iranian people eventually to put in a new form of government, one that is truly chosen by its people, then I think this was a stellar operation. Let's remind the viewers here, Venezuela just a month or so ago. Then just last week in Mexico, taking out El Mencho, the leader of a bloodthirsty cartel. And then finally, we have today, Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran. This has been a pivotal start of the year. And again, the world is better for it. Now, I do want to say, and this is controversial, but contrary to what your mama told you, violence does solve issues. I'd never prone violence as a first step. Diplomacy should always reign supreme up until it has been exhausted. Then violence can be used. And Trump's policy has always been peace through strength. Well, strength is not just threats. If you keep saying you're going to do something, you have to be capable of actually enacting it, or else nobody's going to take you seriously. But I think now the entire world, whether it's Russia, China, or other cartel members, heck, European leaders, they realize Trump means business. And that, I got to commend him for that. Now, another point that I really strongly believe in is after watching a regime kill tens of thousands of their people simply for protesting in the streets, we in the West do have a moral obligation to intervene. I don't think countries should ever just go and depose of regimes they disagree with, right? However, when you have clear evil maniacs that are committing crimes against, well, humanity, because this is more than just Iran. The Iranian government has also been funding proxies, militias, terrorists around the world. So overall, at this point, inaction is actually probably the most dangerous outcome for the world. So as such, I will say, always be cautious. Let's not be too trigger happy all the time, but this was indeed a good thing. Now, what is actually going on the ground in Iran? What is the reaction over there? So here's what's really happening over there right now. No, but seriously, let's talk about what's actually happening over there. So as it stands, Iran has been retaliating. They have not just sat idle, letting the US and Israel slap them in the face like that meme right there. So far, Iran has attacked not just Israel, because yes, they have sent countless ballistic missiles towards Israel. They have attacked other neighboring Muslim Arab country. They have gone full rogue, crazy, murderous loco coco. It's, again, there's a saying that says, when is an animal the most dangerous? Well, when it's cornered. And right now, Iran is isolated from the world. Their only allies, Russia and China, cannot do anything to support them right now. They are by themselves, so they are lashing out. And that is still, in this moment, a very dangerous situation out there. Khamenei, the supreme leader, might have been taken out, but the war is not won yet. So Iran so far has launched missiles and suicide drones towards Israel, obviously, towards Iraq, towards Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, the Emirates, so United Arab Emirates. Oman is not listed here, but it was something that happened just recently. Oman as well was attacked, and then Saudi Arabia. They are all over the place. And we have right here breaking. Saudi Arabia just jumped in with the United States in this massive military operation against Iran. So it is game over for the mullahs. No shit here. But effectively, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has definitely realized that having a crazy neighbor like Iran next to them cannot be allowed to continue anymore. Now, there's been plenty of retaliation by Iran, as I mentioned earlier. So right here, they've sent a suicide drone, a kamikaze drone, to the Burj Al Arab Hotel in Dubai. So Dubai was attacked. So here we have a video of an American airbase in Qatar on the receiving end of some ballistic missile attacks, and the Patriot defense system going online sadly was not good enough, and it failed to intercept.
Oh, fuck!
It's wild. And to think these are American service members right there in harm's way. So here you have the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. As you can see, there was an explosion right here. It's a little bit far in the distance, but it did not hit directly at the Burj Khalifa, but Iran's been trying to hit it. And now over here you have drone strikes in a international airport, a civilian airport in Kuwait. So Iran is striking civilian targets here. They're not looking to retaliate against only military bases. They're hitting civilian infrastructure, which is completely despicable. Here you have a video of the Palm in Dubai, right outside the Palm in Dubai, hit. Freaking wild. But the worst of it all was the fact that Iran did manage, through a suicide drone, to actually hit the largest radar warning or radar detection system in all of the Middle East that belong to the United States of America. This is a $1.1 billion radar system.
مسيرة اضرب 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 اضرب.
That is crazy. And it makes you wonder, where was the defense system, or why was it ineffective? Anyways. So in short, things are very unpredictable right now. Things are kinetic. Things are moving quickly. And I'm trying to give you the best information that I have right now on hand. But by the time you watch this, there's a good chance things would have changed. Now, there's also reports coming out that there is a city in Iran that has effectively been taken over by protesters or by people who want to overthrow a regime. So this is in the city of Abdanan. Now, I cannot verify whether this is true or not. I just, thought I'd share. That'd be very interesting. But one thing that I can, however, verify is that there has been plenty of videos out there of people celebrating and cheering in the streets when the death of the supreme leader was reported. These are fireworks, by the way. People are legitimately celebrating. It's crazy. So in short, I know that right now the good people are winning. When I see people celebrating and being so happy and finally feeling a glimmer of hope that their future could finally be in their hands, I gotta say that this might turn out to be a happy ending to an otherwise incredibly tragic 47 years under the tyrannical Iranian theocratic Islamic regime. So guys, if you've liked this report, please drop a like and a comment below. Let me know what you think. Once again, was it a good thing? What's happening? Do you support Iran? Are you against Iran? Or should Canada get involved or stay out of it? What are your thoughts? I want to definitely know. And until next time, have a good one.